Hello, it's Diane Matyas again in my studio with my jelly roller, my jelly plate, and my brayer. And I'm going to go through a few steps for our next lesson with the jelly plate, and it involves circles. So we're going to work with a very simple printing with materials like found objects, like this top of a vitamin, a cork. Let's see, it looks like a little coffee top. Anything that was circular is what I've been keeping. And another thing I'm going to use after that is a piece of bubble wrap. Now, many people use these materials, but I just want to do it very clearly so we know what we're doing today and how we can make a two-color abstract piece using circles. So here it goes. Let me switch over to my place. All right, we're going to use two colors. This time we're going to use a blue and a pinkish. We're going to use a small jelly plate as we did the first time. We're going to, here's my circle stamps. Basically, they're stamps, just like we've made stamps before in another class. And I'm using my notebook, my sketchbook. And last time we worked on just learning how to roll things out and creating patterns that were squiggling with an eraser, right? This time sort of was drawing and also learning how to off-roll onto the onto scrap paper. In this case, it's in our sketchbook. So we're building up these colorful happenstance pieces, and we're also working on the jelly plate itself. So let's start off with our lighter color. I'm going to shake, shake, shake. And I'm going to put a little bit out. Let's go 1, 2, 3 tiny. Last time I feel like the class we did together live, a lot of people had a really fun time. Some of you used too little, but some of you, I'd say a few people, got in the habit of using too much. So, which is sometimes better than too little, because too little, look at that, there's something underneath there. If you don't have a flat surface for the jelly plate, it will be a problem. And I was doing some glue gunning, so there's a piece of glue gun glue, and I noticed that immediately. So make sure your surface is flat, and when you roll it up, you can spread to the edge. It should be shiny, right? And we're going to practice this. Again, we're just going to see how it goes. I'm going to off-roll onto my sketchbook. Not much there. Again, it's pretty dry in my studio today. I'm just going to practice this again so I remember how I roll it out, press my paper down, and do this trial run. And we'll see how dry it is if I need to use more ink than 3 drops. But let's see. Yeah, it got pretty dry. So I'm going to go either a little bit faster this time or use a little bit more ink, paint. Actually, again, this is acrylic paint. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to roll this out. I did my test. It's nice and shiny. For some reason, the first time out seems always a little dry. So it always takes me more than one one chance rolling. So I'm ready to go. I'm going to off-roll into my sketchbook. But before I print, I'm going to take my top. Again, it's just a water top. I've been picking up, doing a beach cleanup this weekend. And there were a lot of plastic tops out there, boys and girls, ladies and gents. So I also have, this top also has a sort of a serrated look to it when I turn it over. So you might find one top has more than one look to it. And you can see I sort of cleaned it off when I went over here. I also have a pen top, which is a smaller circle, right? Let's see how this works. I'm using my jelly paper again just to get started. And I'm laying it down and I'm pressing, pressing, pressing. And I'll probably just have pink and white, right? That makes sense. Again, it shouldn't be so much ink or paint that it's blubbing out the edges. It should feel like you're picking most of it up. All right, so there we have, you can see some light impressions of where I pulled the paint away with the circles. Okay, let me try it again. So now I have sort of a dim pink. I have a pink with some circles. I'm going to do one more pink, and so I have 3 pinks ready to go. Again, I'm starting you off with just 2 colors in hopes that we gain some control. Okay, I'm going to try it again. This time I'm going to try my beautiful cork, and then maybe I'm not pressing so hard that I'm cutting into this plate. It's really important, again, that we take care of the plate. We don't want to cut it with anything sharp. So in case you feel the top feels sharp, either don't use it at all or very gently. Okay, I'm going to try this one where I'm just going to go on one side of it seems to fit the whole plate. These are very small plates. They're only 5 by 7, I believe. So it's a very small surface, but it fits really nice into my sketchbook. So let's see how this goes. Again, the humidity. Cool. All right. So again, I just have 2 colors on there. It's kind of, let's see, if I raise this up with the page underneath it, you can see it more clearly, that we're having these sort of bubble-like shapes up here. Now I'm going to switch it up. This will dry fairly quickly. I'm going to try using my turquoise or blue. I think for the class that we're doing live after this with my kids that I'm working with, if you're with me live, we have a deeper blue than this aqua color. But let's see. I love seeing how it goes together on my rollout page. Let me put this right here. Okay, so it's fairly clean. I'm going to go ahead and print it just plain turquoise, just like we did before, just like we did last week. So I have a plain turquoise background because I'm going to make a 2-color print. You know I'm going to make a 2-color print with this because we had a lot of fun with that last time. And perfectly fine 2-color print. Again, finding a place to let these dry is a trick if you're working in a small classroom with a small desk, but they dry very quickly. So that's the good news. All right. It seems to be not needing quite as much ink now. Just getting this going seems to be not drying as quickly. Now I'm going to try stamping a little bit. Sometimes I get an off stamp on my, sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on how much ink I put on, definitely. Okay. You could even maybe move it a little bit and then you get this strange halo effect. I'm going to try it just on my sort of lightest one, our first one, and see how it looks. I'm going to print over that and see what we get. Okay. So 2 colors coming together. The question is, what will it look like when it pulls up? We can see it coming through on this light paper. Okay. So you can see again, it's very light, it's very pretty, and you can see we're going to keep going. We're going to try another one. Now, I'm not going to print on this one yet. I'm still letting it dry, but I have this one ready to go. So let's do another teal. Or I guess it's called Caribbean. So if you're from the Caribbean, you know the Caribbean blue is the color of the water in the Caribbean. And how beautiful. When you choose a color, sometimes it reminds you of a place or a time of day. And that's part of what the artist does, is they create a feeling with their choices, right? So if they're choosing a color or a shape or a intensity, value, all these things have a different effect on the viewer, because we're making these not just for ourselves. We want other people to look at them. This is getting really nice and bubbly. It's kind of slippery when I put it on. Okay, now this has some bubbles on there, but I think it's going to mostly cover up. Now, getting this on, you really have to look from above. You might want to stand up as you lay it down and then press up from the middle out. I got it a little crooked. So we're going to see what that looks like. When you get it crooked, you'll see quite quickly. Probably because I was going too fast, but sometimes I like those mistakes. A lot of times happy mistakes are what Gelli printing has to offer an artist. Sometimes letting go a little bit can have wonderful, happy effects. And as I pull this up slowly, you can see that I did get some really nice abstract color circle shapes. So that's basically what we're doing today. It's not very complicated. Let me try to see if I can pull any more from this. I don't think so. I think it's drying really fast. But I want to clean it. And we noticed last time that a good way to clean it is not so much getting it wet and using paper towel, or you don't always have to get a wipe out. You can sometimes just print off the excess. And it's kind of wonderful, you know? We can use both of these things. All right, I'm going to go back with the pink, going backwards, because I want to see how it's going to print on a solid blue. And I'm going to make it plenty pinky. All right, again, getting it nice and juicy, but not overly so. There's a whole world of how much is too much and how much is too little, and it changes, right? Again, I'm going to try, because we're just practicing and experimenting with this tool of a found cap and trying to see what happens when we use it different ways. We might be inspired to look around this week what else we could put into it, right? I know I was going to talk about the bubble wrap. Let's try the bubble wrap. Again, it's clean now, but when I put it down and I pull up, it's going to get a little dirty. So I'm going to offset it onto so it doesn't get totally sticky. Okay, so there's a few little bubbles from the bubble wrap. Let's see what happens when I lay the turquoise down. Again, the turquoise was solid. There were no bubbles in it. And the pink had a lot of different circles from my stamping. And while this is sticking on, I'll show you what this looks like. You can see it got inky, it got painty, but it's dry already. It's so fast. So although I get my fingers a little dirty, it's certainly controllable because it dries so fast. All right, I'm going to get this a little closer to you, and you can start to see, let's see if you can see the bubble wrap a little bit. You can see the smaller circles and the larger circles. Anyway, this doesn't have a lot of contrast. I think I'm going to try one more with a different blue just because we're here and I can. Oh, that's not very contrasty. Here's I'm going to mix two blues. All right. So I think next time when we do it, we'll try some mixing of colors. Again, this is pretty sloppy. And if I have too much, what do? I roll it out here, right? Too much is too much. By showing you my errors, it helps you get ready because you're learning, there's a learning curve to all things. And as you do this, you will get a feeling for it, pulling up a little bit more. If you have too much, do not let it sail out, and you can turn the page here and simply let it sail on the next page. All right, I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to play with my circles a little bit. I'm also going to do this side. All right, and I'm going to try the bubble wrap. Makes me think of underwater. You know, I do a lot of underwater pictures, so this helps me imagine it. Okay, I have one more pink one that I think I'm going to print this darker one on. Maybe a few more circles just to have the fun of seeing if the pink comes through, right? There we go. Let's see the difference between the light turquoise and the deeper blue, all right? So there's more contrast. Yeah, I think you can see that both are fine. Both are, see the blues going over the pinks have a different intensity because one is very pale and one is very dark with that blue. And that will be more of the color we're using in class because I already mixed up the colors at school. So again, for those of you who are at home just trying this later on individually, this is all the same thing we use in my classroom with third graders. So they are learning how to do this. You can too. Enjoy. Glad you could come today. Bye.